Okay, so as we get closer to the actual merger of CCIV and Lucid, and as Jim Cramer is saying that Lucid Motors could be the next Tesla, as we deal with more Apple and Lucid speculation, and as CCIV has been behaving pretty damn decently this week, well, I want to make a new case for CCIV as a buy. Then we will be circling back at the end of the video talking about some recaps on the day as well as some of the updates on our plays. And the only thing that I ask in return is that you hit that ravishing like button, and also don't forget to subscribe. You're probably already well educated on Lucid as a company, but let me just do a quick recap in case you missed something. Okay, so what we have with Lucid is an early stage EV that brings a lot to the table. It brings a management team that has a wide variety of experience, ranging from bringing the Tesla Model S to the market, the iPhone, to working with other companies such as Ferrari, Jaguar, Ford, Intel, and Volkswagen. It's got in-house manufacturing with their Arizona factories, which they say has a 34,000 unit annual production capacity as of right now. They've got in-house sales and service network infrastructure built. They've got over 7,500 reservations for vehicles received as of February 2021, and these are all things they've already accomplished, and they haven't even received the huge capital infusion from the CCIV merger yet because that hasn't even been completed. But it's not all berries and roses, folks. In fact, there's a ton of things that can go wrong, and even though I like this company, you have to understand that there's a lot of potential things that can go wrong. They've already delayed their production to some undetermined time later this year. They have limited operating history since they are, again, early stage. Lucid also has to build a big name for itself in a field that is already pretty damn crowded. It's also subject to many of the same early stage production issues, lags, disappointments, and supply chain problems that dogged Tesla years ago and will almost certainly hurt Lucid as well. Most importantly, Lucid has no experience whatsoever in doing the production volume that it is estimating that it can do in the upcoming years. And all of these things are real issues that you have to know about if you're thinking about buying Lucid, and especially if you're thinking about holding Lucid. But all of this aside, the real question to me is whether their car is superior. Right now, this whole company is staking everything on one thing. It does not matter how competent these people are. If this product isn't competitive, if this product doesn't sell, then this company, in my opinion, is completely worthless. The whole business model is built on bringing Lucid Air to market and then bringing cheaper Lucid Airs to market and then introducing more products. But it's using the capital from each level of introduction to actually fund the further levels of introduction. So if the Lucid Air is not competitive, this is a trash company. If the Model S in Tesla wasn't competitive, that would have set them back huge. So let's focus on the Lucid Air. How does it compete? Why would somebody buy an Air over, say, a Tesla Model S or a Porsche Taycan? Well, let's start with pure aesthetics. We'll start by comparing it to the Model S. So let's look at the current interior. So the current generation Tesla Model S sports a minimalistic and famous approach to the interior. Very clean and nice looking, but minimally luxurious. Even their newest redesign on their top car looks very sporty, but it's also very minimalistic, and it's hard to call this an upper end cushy luxury car. This is more of the same ultra minimalistic approach with a little bit more sport thrown in for good measure. But then you look at the Lucid interior. With this one, you've got a myriad of well-placed screens, specially stitched steering wheels, more intricately detailed leather accents on seats. You've got a retractable touchscreen in the middle. Even when you compare the back seats of the Lucid to the back seats of the Tesla, these are both the top of the line seats, and you get a completely different impression of the segment that these cars are in. I haven't sat in the Lucid Air seat, so it's hard for me to say if they're really comfortable, but based on just pictures alone, you could tell this is a completely different seat we're talking about. The details in the interiors of these two are miles apart. I get the impression that the Lucid Air has a much more luxurious and thought out interior, a strong and effective effort to compete in the luxury segment. Whereas with Tesla's interior, I kind of get the impression that they're like, hey, we're the future. We don't need to compete. We're not even trying to compete because this is a whole different type of car. Obviously, that's been a very effective strategy for Tesla. But when you're talking about cars at this price range, there's obviously going to be people that have demand for actually luxurious interiors. In that sense, the Lucid Air's interior competes a lot closer with the Porsche Taycan. It also took that outwardly luxurious techie approach that Lucid did, but still managed to keep the simplicity that people come to expect from EVs. And to me, I think that a large segment of the people that are buying Teslas bought Tesla despite their simplistic interior, not for the simplistic interior. They wanted to be part of the Tesla movement. They liked the status of it, they liked the look, but the interior left a lot to be desired, but they bought it despite it, not because of the simplicity. I think there's definitely going to be an appetite for EV cars that are both good, allow you to have that status that people like with Tesla and be part of a bigger movement, but also deliver in terms of really nice interior quality. You look at the Porsche Taycan, you look at the Model S, and you look at the Lucid Air, all completely beautiful cars. But Tesla's Model S has been around for almost a decade. It's had minimal aesthetic updates, and people are used to seeing it. I'm not a huge fan of the back end of the Lucid, though. They designed it in a weird way to make it so the trunk would open straight laterally. Certainly something different, but it's not something that I'd want in a sedan. But what about battery range? Well, the Lucid Air's top model has a 517-mile range. Tesla Model S has a 412 range, and the Taycan a 227. And keep in mind, these are Lucid's reported numbers, and we've seen companies in the past inflate their numbers to points that they actually can't deliver on, but there's a decent margin for error here for Lucid Air to still be very, very competitive. And that, at the end of the day, is what buyers are looking for. Battery range that's competitive. In terms of performance, I will say that the performance of the top model is well below Tesla Model S's new Plaid model, which boasts 200 miles per hour in top speed to the 168 miles per hour top speed of the Lucid Air, as well as a faster 0 to 60 time. Get the popular Porsche Taycan Turbo S. It has significantly less range than the Lucid Air, it has a lower top speed, and it's slower 0 to 60 than the Lucid Air Dream Edition. Certainly net, the Lucid Air is very, very competitive here. In terms of charging, the Lucid Air reports it takes 20 minutes to charge 300 miles worth of battery. You compare that to Tesla's 15 minutes for 200 miles or Porsche's 22.5 minutes for 160 miles. My thought process is that this is obviously a competitive product, and it seems like it's going to sell very well. But at the same time, the disadvantage is that, well, Lucid doesn't have that same brand name reputation as Tesla or Porsche. And that's something that's very hard and costly to build, and it also takes a lot of time to build it. Let's be real, if I was deciding between a Tesla and a Lucid and they both have the exact same specs, let's just say they have the exact same looking car, I would choose Tesla. Why? Because they've been on the road for years. As a result, I'd have more confidence in them. This is a huge problem for Lucid. They have to develop that, and it's a question of whether they're going to be able to develop that enough to hit these requirements or hit these goalposts. And that's in a much more crowded field than Tesla had to introduce itself into. So, something to think about. The first few years of Lucid are going to be extremely important because that's when it's going to establish itself. That's when it's actually going to test the market and show us that people are actually interested in this car. But I think that if they can just do an okay job of this, then you got to look at the multiples that EV car companies in the US trade at. And if you do that, it looks like Lucid has a very, very long way to climb. And I didn't even mention the other products that Lucid could go and make money off of. We're just focusing on the main product, the Lucid Air, and the higher range Lucid Air, because that's the one that's coming out first. And with Tesla trading at a market cap of $649 billion even after its huge sell-off, and if you look at that valuation and you look at where Lucid is right now and where they could be in terms of growth 2-3 years from now, it's not terribly difficult to see this reaching $100 billion in market cap. Once they start rolling out their models and they're on the road and they show proof of concept, there's a very high likelihood that this trades at a huge multiple just like Tesla did. And if it hit $100 billion, you'd be looking at about $62 a share. So something to think about, folks. Let me know what you think down below. Okay, next, some recaps on our plays and the market condition. So the market was a bit squeamish today as investors worried about the Fed changing their tone tomorrow on inflation. This has been a normal occurrence for the last couple of weeks. People are worried about the bond yields and inflation and all that good stuff. But squeamish is a good time to scout out some good deals on plays. Keep your pinkies up and your eyes open. In terms of our ticker of the day and one of the big recaps that I want to do, I want to talk about Zomedica. They had a nice final run in the pre-market after they announced that they had jumped to sell their first commercial product of Truforma this morning. They told us this would come at the end of the month. They ended up jumping the gun a couple weeks early. On one hand, that's good because we got the pop this morning. On the other hand, well, we don't have 2 more weeks to pre-anticipatory run. When you have pre-anticipatory runs, after the actual news comes out, people take profits and it gets beat down. So this coming early is kind of unfortunate. However, on the flip side, if we see Truforma getting sold to more and more clients and we get those news catalyst drops over the next couple of weeks, we should see some spiking. So we have that going for us, and I'll keep you updated in the briefings and on the videos. That being said, if you bought the dip on this one and you got a good entry price, I would say take some profits off the table. Hopefully, if you were planning on holding this to Truforma, you had a trailing stop loss on, and that today's pullback locked in some of your profits, and you can also leave some in the game for future spikes when they sell Truforma. In terms of our short-term plays from the briefings, one of our top performers today was SSY. They jumped on their patient expansion plan earlier in the pre-market this morning. However, I was hopeful that when more volume came in at market open that we'd start seeing a bounce. It did actually happen, and we got a nice run up to 762, but you do want to make sure that you're locking in your profits on these plays. Catalyst plays never last for long. STRM was another one. We briefed on it here because they signed a new contract for its innovative next-gen healthcare with a big Arizona client. I speculated early on that we might get a bounce, and we did get a bounce. We briefed on it in the 230s, and it went to the high 3s in a nice bounce today. ENZ, decent bounce as well. This was on achieving their patent. SVRA, another one of our briefing plays, decent bounce after getting hyped up by an analyst. These are good plays to scalp because analysts like to pump stocks, and this is a good opportunity to scalp some pumps. CanF and ANVS, though, these were little dirty teases. In those cases, locking in profits or cutting losses quickly is of utmost importance. Selling out at the break below the SMA line, validation, or trailing stop loss. There's just no way that you can predict exactly how far catalysts will run, so risk management is so important on these. Ruby, another one with a decent bounce after announcing their positive phase data. Pretty good as well. Hope some of you guys caught these. This is the full list of our morning catalysts from today. I hope regardless of whether you are in ZipTrader, you are not in all of these, that you're at least learning from the recaps. The reason that I go deep into detail on the channel is so that you can actually learn from the recaps even if you're not in the program where you actually see me talk about it. Or I should say type about it because the briefings are in text, but you get what I mean. Anyways, folks, that caps off the video. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us below or join us on ZipTrader Circle. If you'd like to learn how to trade, would like access to our private chat, daily morning briefings, as well as our price targets on all of our plays, well, go ahead and click the link in the description below. Coupon code YouTube15 will get you 15% off at checkout. And if you'd like to sign up with Webull, get some free stocks, and be able to trade in the pre-market and the after hours and make Charlie smile, then go ahead and sign up with Webull in the link below as well. Deposit $100 to get those stocks. And as always, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.